A big winter storm is expected to bring major impacts to the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the South this weekend into early next week, with heavy snow, an ice storm, and severe weather all at the same time. Behind it, an Arctic blast could bring freezing temperatures as far south as Florida, with the potential for winter weather in the South. In this video, I'll show you what to expect with this winter storm this weekend, with snowfall and ice amounts, and also what could happen after that. But first, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more weather updates. So here's the Euro model. On Friday, we have a storm system moving into the western US with rain and snowfall across the west. And this is actually what's going to create the significant winter storm across the Midwest. Notice how going into Friday night into early on Saturday, you have snowfall across the Rocky Mountains. But then this really helps to create the winter storm. By Saturday night, you have freezing rain across Kansas and Missouri, and you have snowfall to the north of that, heavy snowfall in some places across the central plains, with rain to the south of that. And then notice what happens. This storm really blows up on Sunday. Really heavy snow across Kansas and northern Missouri, and then you have potentially heavy freezing rain just to the south of that snow. Later in the day on Sunday, you have heavy rain, thunderstorms, even potential severe weather across the south. And then this storm is really dynamic looking, even going into the afternoon on Sunday, and it's moving pretty quickly. So you have heavy snow going from Kansas and Missouri, moving across to the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. You have heavy snow in southern Ohio. You have freezing rain across parts of Kentucky, and then heavy rain and thunderstorms along the cold front across the south going into Sunday night. And then the storm actually quickly moves away on Monday. You know, that snowfall still happening across portions of the mid-Atlantic, but it's lighter snowfall. And then you have heavy rain moving off the coast of the southeastern U.S. And then that pretty much goes away. But then behind it, you have a lot colder air pushing down, potentially as far south as the Gulf Coast and Florida. You have lake effect snow potentially because of that colder air across the Great Lakes to some extent. But notice what happens is going into January 10th, there's rain across Texas, and there could be a little bit of snow that could mix in. Before, they were showing possibly a foot of snow over southern Texas in previous runs of this model, but now they've really taken that away, and it looks a little warmer actually. It kind of looks like it'll warm up as we go towards mid-January, and it shows some more winter weather after that. Now this is further out, so definitely will change a lot, but it looks like this Arctic blast, the Euro model is not quite as intense with it in terms of snowfall, but that is still over a week out, so that will definitely change. The GFS shows this winter storm about the same actually in terms of the timing. It really starts going across Kansas on Saturday night going into Sunday, and shows a lot of heavy freezing rain all the way across kind of eastern Kansas, central Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, even southern Ohio and Kentucky. And this has actually shifted north a bit. It's actually shifted further to the north. And remember, with the freezing rain, that's the most tricky thing to forecast for the winter storm, because you know, a slight difference in the exact track of where this system goes can mean a huge difference in terms of whether somebody gets rain or freezing rain or really heavy snow. So there's still some uncertainty with that, but we do know that there's a significant winter storm gonna happen across this whole area Sunday going into Monday. Look at the 500 millibar wind. You can see this trough moving into the western U.S., bringing that rain and snow over there. Then it kind of goes across the Rocky Mountains, and then once it hits the central plains, it looks pretty dynamic, especially on the eastern side of the trough. It looks pretty dynamic, not just in terms of heavy snowfall, but also in terms of severe weather. The SPC has a day 4 slight risk of severe weather, 15% chance of severe weather across these portions of eastern Texas, most of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and extreme southwestern Tennessee, and extreme western Alabama. And this will probably get upgraded over time as the confidence increases in what types of severe weather we could see. The National Weather Service actually has winter storm watches across, going all the way from Kansas, across Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, all the way into Kentucky. And so they're already looking at this storm. It's definitely going to be a significant storm with a lot of impacts from, heavy snow and freezing rain, and then the severe weather part of it further south. The Weather Prediction Center, their latest key messages for the January 4th to 6th winter storm, the potential is definitely increasing. There's increasing confidence about this significant snow and ice storm going across the Central Plains, the Central Mississippi Valley. Could see at least 6 inches of snow, so definitely heavy snow is expected, and significant icing potential to the south of that. But there are still some changes in the track and the timing of this storm, so stay updated with the latest forecasts. And the day 3 to 7 hazards outlook shows definitely the heavy snow from January 5th and January 6th across this whole area, from the Central Plains to the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, also extending over to the Mid-Atlantic, and then a risk of freezing rain to the south of that, and then also heavy rain and severe weather across the south. And then we have hazardous cold temperatures from January 5th to 8th across North Dakota, the risk for freezing conditions across Florida for January 7th and 8th. Here's a look at your total snowfalls from this winter storm according to the Euro model. They're showing right now really 1 to 2 feet of snow in this track of heavy snowfall, going all the way from Kansas all the way to Delaware. You have areas of 1 to 2 feet of snow across this whole area, but a slight shift in where the storm actually ends up can mean a huge difference in the actual snowfall amount. But just based on what this model is showing, definitely could be around 2 feet of snow across the eastern half of Kansas, 1.5 feet of snow across northwestern Missouri, around 1 foot of snow across the central portion of Illinois, southern Indiana, same snowfall amounts, just like for southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, even potentially 1 foot of snow all the way across towards Maryland. So that's what the Euro model is showing. And also some decent snowfall for the mountains in the western U.S., and also possibly a couple feet of lake effect snow with the colder air that's in place. Also, the GFS model is showing a decent winter storm across Texas. So the GFS model still thinks there's the potential for a significant snowstorm across Texas, and then potentially a lot of freezing rain across the southeast. This is around really January 8th going into January 11th. We'll see what happens with that. That is possible, but that's a bit further out, and it kind of keeps changing. If that were to happen, you do have the polar vortex bringing colder air down to the south, and then you have this other system, and so that could create another storm system. The Euro model doesn't really show anything with that. The GFS snowfall with the first winter storm, it has shifted it a bit to the north, so you have similar snowfall totals, basically around 1 to 2 feet of snow across these areas, but it's just a bit further north. So northern Missouri seeing the heaviest snowfall, perhaps, instead of the central Missouri and central Illinois seeing it, but also up further towards central Ohio. Other than that, snowfall amounts are pretty similar on these models. The GFS is showing heavy snowfall for Texas too, possibly up to 1 foot of snow across Texas. And the Euro model is showing this before. Now it's the GFS showing it. Now, you also have the potential for some decent snowfall, several inches of snow across parts of the southeast, going across to the mid-Atlantic with that snowstorm too. So, see what happens there. The freezing rain is another big thing, and actually the freezing rain is worse than the snowfall, because this will definitely knock down trees, cause power outages, and create extremely dangerous road conditions. And the GFS model is showing possibly 1.5 inches, over 1.5 inches, possibly localized amounts up to 2 inches of freezing rain across just kind of southwest of the St. Louis area, going across also southern Illinois and Indiana. Now, I think that these amounts are pretty high, and not all of it will actually accumulate as icing. This is just showing heavy freezing rain across the area, so that could cause a lot of problems. The Euro model is showing, in terms of how much freezing rain they think is going to happen, it's showing pretty much a quarter to maybe a half inch of freezing rain across southern Missouri, going across parts of Kentucky. That's what they're showing. Lesser amounts. It could be more than this, but really it doesn't take that much freezing rain to cause a lot of damage. The GFS is showing heavier freezing rain slightly in parts of southern Missouri. Still, they're showing in general like a quarter to a half inch, but across southern Missouri, the GFS is showing a bit more accumulation, more like a half inch. Then, with that second storm across Texas going across the southeast, they're showing possibly an inch of freezing rain going across from eastern Texas, across Louisiana, Mississippi, then it skips Alabama, but then it really just soaks Georgia, South Carolina, and parts of North Carolina in a lot of freezing rain. If this were to happen, that'd be really bad, but that's further out. But there is the potential for another winter storm across the South with very significant impacts. The accumulation, according to the GFS, shows more like a quarter inch, maybe a half inch across parts of Louisiana, but less accumulation than what the freezing rain totals shows. Behind these winter storms, we have pretty cold temperatures. You have behind this big winter storm on January 5th going to January 6th, you have temperatures possibly 25 to 30 degrees below average in some areas. And these areas where you had all that freezing rain, so it's not necessarily going to melt right away. So that's another problem. And you could have rain and then have the rain end up freezing. So not freezing rain, but the rain that fell actually freezes. That's another thing that's a problem and creates more icing. But you could have temperatures 30 to even 40 degrees below average, possibly across parts of Missouri, across to the Ohio Valley, perhaps, and then temperatures still like 20 to 25 degrees below average across the South. Going, looks like for the South, the coldest temperatures will probably be around January 9th, January 10th, perhaps. And those colder temperatures kind of stay in place, and you still get more of this Arctic air pushing down into the South. And the GFS continues it all the way pretty much into the middle of January, with still temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below average in some places. And the actual temperatures, you notice how behind this winter storm, temperatures really start dropping. You could have temperatures below zero in the places that just got freezing rain. You could have temperatures getting down to 0 degrees from Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, especially according to the GFS. Temperatures even dropping down potentially to -10, -15 degrees in some places. So it looks like the coldest air could be around Wednesday and Thursday after the winter storm. And then you have still really cold temperatures just kind of coming down in waves, really. But it does kind of look like the South might not stay extremely cold for too long, fortunately. But you still have high temperatures, could be in the 40s, which is cold for that region, but maybe not like a super epic freeze, but temperatures could still get down to the mid to upper 20s across the Gulf Coast, and potentially freezing temperatures in Florida. The Euro model is similar with temperatures. They're showing definitely that colder air comes down behind the winter storms. Temperatures aren't quite as extreme on the Euro model across the Midwest. Temperatures in the single digits or near zero, but still pretty cold, and then you have a freeze going all the way down to northern Florida, maybe even frost across central Florida would be possible, and that's going into January 11th, January 12th, and you still have temperatures below average, very cold temperatures in place going into the middle of January. So definitely an active weather pattern with a lot of winter storms and well below average temperatures. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share the video, comment below, and subscribe and turn on notifications for more weather updates. Extreme Weather Zone, out.